Hello, world! What's up, guys? Once again, back again on the Fight Bananas podcast. How's everyone doing? This is Dave Van Auken. On Father's Day, we're getting it going. What an event just happened 10, 12, 14 hours ago. Hopefully you're listening to it today on Father's Day. To every fathers out there, happy Father's Day. And if you're listening on Monday or Tuesday, hey, happy Monday, beginning of the week. Guys, on the line with me right now is we are Fight Bananas. We're on fire, and we're branching off. We're doing other stuff. We got professional wrestling. We got bare knuckle. We got all kinds of stuff. We got boxing. But one of probably the hottest sister podcasts of Fight Bananas is Inside the Distance, the MMA betting podcast. They're hitting numbers 70%. They're like Derek Jeter in a 6-game hitting streak. They're on fire. So on the line, we got Aaron J., half of the Inside the Distance podcast on right now. Aaron, how are you doing, my man?
Hey, David. It's great to be on this morning. One event, another super successful event for Garrett and I. I am pretty much the heart of the two of us. He's the brains, so to speak. So we definitely come at it with our perspectives. But, yeah, I'm doing great, man. How are you doing?
Doing good, brother. Doing good, man. And I like that. I'm an all heart guy myself.
Yep.
So I think one of the biggest threads here on the podcast is that school is definitely overrated. So yeah, I know we need the brains, and we do like Garrett. I'm a Garrett guy, but I'm all heart, Aaron. I'm with you on that. I think I got your back more times than none.
Yeah. I mean, me and Garrett, we agree quite a bit, but often we come to our avenues very differently. It's just one of the many kind of beauties of the sport of MMA, is that there's not one way to look or break down fights. But often we'll come to the same conclusions, yet from very different avenues at points.
100%, man. That's so funny you said that. So let me go a little backstory. We're going to go all in, guys. Yes, this is going to be the Gillian Savage Robertson podcast. And even the whole night, me personally, I'm usually not that guy like, oh, I nailed this, I got this. But I'm going to do that today, I think. I literally nailed every winner. I'm 3 parlay in. It was probably my most successful betting night. A big reason why is I did listen to Garrett and Aaron. Also, and then my big upset of the night was Jim Miller, and I kind of been banging that on the table for a week. Not a lot of people were listening, and then I nailed that one. So I'm literally, I'm donating money on my way to work right now. I'm just literally handing out money. It's, Inside the Distance is helping us Fight Bananas. So, but real quick, back to my heart story. Yes. It's really off on me. I don't remember who did Rose Namajunas beat in Madison Square Garden? For the title.
She beat Joanna.
Okay, yes, Joanna. There you go. So, yep.
Perfect example.
Right, dude. Going into that event, and I do love me some Joanna. And she is the champion. She was like unbeatable. And that night, she was a huge favorite. And I'm like, guys, Rose Namajunas is winning this fight. And they're like, really? I'm like, I don't know how to say it. I'm not going to give you, her technical grappling effect. I'm like, on that night in Madison Square Garden, her heart is going to win that fight. I don't know how, and I can't even give you a legit reason why. Just trust me. And it was probably one of my biggest calls of a couple years ago when I nailed Rose beating Joanna. So I'm with you on that.
Yeah, and honestly, one of the things that makes Garrett and I's special is that we will point out a fight from like the first prelim of UFC 220 as that fight for us. It's not just the main events that we look at for these fights. So we look top to bottom on the cards.
Right.
You don't even have to go much further than last night in the first fight of the night. I went based on experience and heart with Hubbard. I also learned from a couple weeks ago when I hammered Menafield, a guy who had never really made it out of the first round. He really got his finishes. Once he was out of the first round, he was lost. Max won the first round against Austin Hubbard last night and then quit by the end of the second round.
Yeah.
I mean, this is 5-0. I was getting Pico vibes before the fight anyways. When I saw minus 200, I was like, this is crazy to me.
Right.
He's at But Hubbard is a ton of heart. That's one of his biggest strengths, in my opinion. I don't mean that disrespectfully.
No, not at all.
I mean, the Madsen fight told me a lot about that when he almost put Madsen away. And everybody was like, Max is a different kind of grappler. But I was like, this guy's 5-0, coming off an injury that he said he didn't have. But what fighter's ever going to say that they're injured? No fighter's ever going to say that before the fight. And,
of course.
Yeah, so we saw that there. And that was one that Garrett was, particularly strong on the other end on. So not to throw, shade at all, but, that was one where it was the brain versus the heart really kind of going at each other, and both had the arguments, and it just worked out for the heart this time. But
there you go.
Sometimes the brain does work out.
Absolutely. We do. It's especially how Garrett does come at it to an angle. That's what I'm saying, guys. Make sure you download, subscribe. It's Inside the Distance podcast. Mainly what they've been coming on Fight Bananas on the YouTube channels and Facebooks, and they've been doing the live shows. But then also I've been getting the audio content, and then I've been putting it on the podcast, this feed that you're listening to it now. Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. TJ DeSantis is going to be producing the other side of this. So, it is what it is. We're rolling. We're so happy to have them a part of the Fight Bananas team. And, just bigger and more and bigger things to happen. But that's we'll bounce around the card. And like I said, I do want to talk probably around 6.5 hours just on Gillian. So we got to get there sooner or later. But let's start right where you were with Ariel Helwani attacked Max on the stool, and his coach, the man said he was literally done. I'm out 9 times. So your gut reaction, we're kind of literally one night sleep on it. What do you think about it? What's your first gut?
So when it first happened, I was a little bit selfishly upset because I took a shot on Hubbard with the plus 1,600 with the third round finish. So I just needed him to at least come out and answer the bell.
Right.
But once I got past that emotional which, I should have covered with the second round too, I guess. But, oh well, hindsight's 20/20. I definitely am on the side of the coach actually in this case. This, I think it's I see a couple people comparing this to Anthony from a few weeks ago. I don't view these at all as the same. I think these are very different cases here. I do think that I can respect the side that says he's done, they're done. This was a case where Max, he took some shots, but he was tired. And it was 1-1. And if he went out and did what he has done for his whole, amateur career and expertise, he could have won that fight. And so I think that the coach, this is one of these cases where the crowd not being there, you're going to hear everything.
Right.
So I think it played a huge factor. This is the first time this kind of conversation has happened between a corner and a fighter in a fight. And I don't think it's the first time a corner's maybe ignored or tried to talk their fighter into coming out. Max was gassed. He wasn't in danger of, I think, being hurt at least. But everybody's in danger of being hurt in theirs. But that's kind of my thoughts. I'm usually not on the side of the coach when they ignore the fighter. But here I was kind of okay with the coach trying to talk the fighter in Drysdale, actually. Right. So. And
you're right. Here we go. And usually they always say, especially when you're talking to a microphone, go one way or the other. That's kind of a thing. It's like, who would listen to if I just keep on saying vanilla ice cream's the best, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. On this one, right, I don't like Ariel Helwani or anyone, a fighter. Even it was so funny, Kama Worthy was on the show last week. He kind of came out there. I almost don't like anyone coming out there 100% one way or another. Because this, and especially today's Father's Day, so I'm going to come back to me being a father of 4 kids, 2 boys, 2 girls, all 4 of them I father in different ways. One I will scream at, and one I have to be like, son, you're the best. Let's do laundry now. They're all different. Every fighter's different. And we don't know his heart and soul, and we don't know their relationship, the coach and the fighter. We don't know what they've been through. They don't know if that $12,000 is life or death to him, and people maybe don't understand that. But if he wins that fight, he wins another $12K, and he keeps moving up. So it's just, in this matter, I'm just going to stay vanilla. I'm just going to be like, I'm going to kind of stay away. I'm not going to attack one way or the other. And if one person does, I don't agree or disagree in a way. I just think we don't know their relationship. Everyone has a different bond, in a relationship or a work relationship or a significant other. It's so hard to get into that. So that was my take. And I thought Ariel was a little tough, he went after it. And, I hate to be that person, but Ariel brings a lot of credibility and merit. So when he kind of goes after it, dude, that guy is like dead. Like, I don't think,
Yeah.
if Max Holloway wanted to change camps, he's like, nope, not going to that guy because Ariel Helwani bashed him. You know what I mean? Like, he just holds a lot of merit.
Yeah.
But
and Ariel Helwani is also an employee of a Disney company at this point. So hearing a guy say, I quit on ESPN with all these extra eyes that don't normally watch the sport, maybe he's worried about the optics of it.
Of course.
That's, it's kind of an outside view of it. And also it's Ariel, he's bored in quarantine. He doesn't get to be at these fights right now. He's got to stir up the pot a little bit too.
Of course,
that's Ariel.
That's a good point. That's a great point. It's so funny. 10 months ago, he was absolutely, and he probably still is. But he does ruffle feathers with Dana in the UFC, and Tomko's on fire, and Sanko's on fire, the Schmo's on fire. So Fight Bananas is on fire. So maybe Ariel's just kind of trying to grab at something there. So, but
yeah, man, I think just overall I've been breaking down fights on YouTube for a few years now, and the amount of fight breakdowns on YouTube now compared to when I started is insane.
Right.
We were like actually a niche idea when we first started, and now it's like there's pages for every single card, and just this sport is growing. I think the ESPN deal has been far superior to a Fox deal, just to get onto that side note there. To have this entire fight card be on ESPN, I get with the conditions how they are, but still, it's an incredible platform.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It was
and at 5 p.m. an earlier time slot, more people on the East Coast are tuning in.
Love it.
It was beautiful.
It was. So 2 things there at the end there, Aaron. Then we'll definitely jump into Gillian. I totally agree with you. I think we're 251st Fight Bananas podcast, just Fight Bananas, not what you guys are doing. And like I said, bare knuckle and wrestling and boxing. So we're probably over 300 podcasts in, and it's like, dude, we're rolling. It's awesome. We've got some big stuff even coming forward. But it's also, the podcasts are coming out of the woodwork now. It's like everyone is just grabbing microphones and be like, "Hey, so UFC 180 was it's like
the retired fighters now."
Yeah.
Which is beautiful. I mean, there's
sure.
I listen to about 10 to 15 breakdowns a week on UFC breakdowns. I can't listen to enough people's perspective on fights.
Sure.
It's just because it's just with every fight, everybody's so sure on one side or the other. So the approach you're taking with regards to Max and his corner, I think is an approach people should be taking with regards to looking at matchups.
Right. Right.
I mean, it's just, this is not black and white. MMA is just not black and white.
Oh.
It just isn't. It's the best sport for a reason, and it's because of.
Yeah, and we'll get into the main event, and just kind of what you said there just brought me to that. I was so sure Curtis was going to win, and I think for 4 minutes and 10 seconds, I think even Volkov was sure Curtis was going to win. But there was like a 50-second spot in there that if Volkov kept going and Curtis just, didn't recover that quickly, Volkov could have stole the goddamn fight. So it's just, you never freaking know. We all know, I think Curtis is the better MMA fighter going into it. And for, like I said, literally for 96% of that fight, but it's MMA, and Volkov literally could have stole it. But like I said, let's get into Gillian.
Yes.
We hope we both talk to her very, very soon. We'll get her on the Fight Bananas podcast. So pumped. I talked to Hannah a couple times, running into weigh-ins and right before the weekend, and it was just great. We're huge fans of her. She's definitely kind of been she's our Mount Rushmore. She's on it for Fight Bananas. And then the performance she just put in. You and I absolutely loved her going into this fight. Matchups and styles make fights. And we just thought Gillian was not to be, a pun here. She was just a problem for Courtney Casey going into this fight. So, the fight's over. How did you think of her performance? I finally feel like she got a lot of credit. She got a lot of buzz. She got a lot of limelight on this one. Being on the prelims, being on ESPN, being on at 5:50 Eastern ESPN. A lot of people saw her. Where do you think Gillian is now, and where do you think going forward?
I think this is a long time coming here. First of all, coming off an 8-month layoff is a long time for her, probably her longest of her career. So to see her just come in, I was thrilled, to put it lightly. Her takedowns were exactly where I saw them being. And I think that because she's a finisher, people falsely underrate her gas tank because she finishes fights. But I think some fighters finish because they know they need to finish to have their best chance of winning. And other fighters finish because they just take opportunities when they come to them. And that's Gillian. I mean, even in this fight, the end of the fight, I've watched the fight now 3 or 4 times, I'll be honest. And at the end of the fight, Dominic Cruz, when she snatches up the choke, he goes, under his breath, he goes, man, that choke came out of nowhere. Like, and that's Dominic Cruz saying that.
Right.
So,
right.
I mean, I don't know where the ranking has been for her. I think it should have been there already. But this matchup was completely one that it showed in the fight, and it's why I dyed my hair on the podcast red. I mean, I was so sure of this, and the line kept shifting towards Courtney Casey, and this was, I think, a case of recency bias. Just people forgetting how Gillian fights, how Courtney got her win, by the way, which was getting taken down right away, and then getting a submission inside guard, which very unlikely to happen. But this, Gillian she doesn't talk a lot, and she did her talking in the cage here, literally. I mean, it was just incredible. She was so in her element there. And it was just, it's beautiful to see when you get to see the hard work and the passion really come through on fight night.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I'm an emotional guy, so I got incredibly emotional before the fight even happened. I mean, at the weigh-ins, when she weighed in, I got emotional. Like, I was out walking my dog, watching it on my phone, almost walked into a car. Because I was I went, yeah, and like everybody, I'm in Washington D.C. Everybody's like looking at me.
All heart.
This guy with red hair and a mask, freaking out, staring at his phone with a pit bull. My pit bull Chico, I was walking at the time. So I mean, we both got pit bull. There's just, I'm just so happy. I got to talk to her a little bit last night, and just share a little bit of my congratulations with her, and that meant a lot.
Hell yeah! So big ups to Pitbull Chico. There you go. There's the
he will make cameos on the podcast all the time.
Absolutely,
both vocally and visually.
Okay, so much there, and I kind of what you did. I want to do kind of, I guess, the same.
Please.
For one, you mentioned the odds shift into Courtney. And you and I, that's just kind of, I guess we'll peel off the banana a little bit here. You and I talked that day, and I'm just going to be blunt. It was the most money I've ever bet on one singular fight. And I usually don't go on a lot because MMA, anything can happen, and usually, god dang, it does, right? So,
yes.
But so many people were I hate being so blunt here they were overrating Casey's performance last, and they were, Macy Barber, when healthy, is a monster, and they were underrating Gillian's, last 5 fights, and they were like, oh, she got beat 8 months ago, and then Macy lost because of an injury to Roxanne, and we'll kind of get into that, I guess, later. And then Courtney was, you could say, won the fight, but was losing in her record. I just thought this was and then the rankings, Courtney Casey's on the rankings and Gillian's not. So to the middle class American guy, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, wow. And they looked, they go to the UFC.com and they go to Gillian. Oh, wow, yeah, she lost in the first round last time. And oh, look, Courtney won last one, and she's got a number by her. We're betting Courtney Casey. And I was like, I love it. You love it. This is, like I said, I'm not going to lie. I'm definitely going to have a couple cocktails and a couple, fun activities on Gillian Robertson. So thank you, Gillian.
I owe Gillian some bank.
Yeah,
for real. Because it's the most I've ever bet on a fight.
Okay, there you go. So you're with me on that.
Yeah, 100%. And I've been betting on fights for years and bet a lot of money on fights. This was a fight that after the weigh-ins, I was like, okay, now the line's going to shift. The line didn't move.
I know.
I was just like, are people just like, Courtney Casey lost to this girl close, 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 but she beat Jessica Aguilar and Morella Barella? I mean, it was just, it was real. And, I also do Instagram stalking when I scout. And there's a motivational difference between these two fighters, in my opinion.
Right.
And a lot of the fighters in the women's flyweight division right now are in their mid-30s, are talking about becoming moms or are moms. Gillian is nowhere near that right now. She has no interest in that. She just turned 25. She trains with Dean Thompson. I mean, those two are so in sync. It is beautiful. And I think it's going to be a story that starts to get developed with the casuals over time here as they realize it. Because at the end of the fight, Dean says 30 seconds left, there's time to finish. What does she do?
Right. And dude, Gillian just wants to train with Dean Thomas. She wants to walk her dogs and smoke. That's all she wants to do. That's her life.
And that's all I want. All I want to do is watch her train, smoke, and walk my dogs.
There you go.
That's it. Like I will not. If you ever come into the comments and want to accuse me of being a homer for anybody, there is one fighter I'm a homer for at this point.
There you go.
And I have no shame in admitting that. I mean, it was just. I could talk about that fight forever. It was so great.
And Aaron, let me take it to another avenue. One thing you said there, and it hit, and I definitely wanted to bring this up. I just watched the 30 for 30 ESPN. It was Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa. I don't know if you saw it or heard it or into it. It's all about the home runs, right? 1998, them hitting home runs, right? Yep. And chicks love long balls. And they made a whole commercial. It was a whole slogan of MLB. Chicks love, home runs. Dude, chicks love 50-yard touchdown passes to Randy Moss. They like big moments. Finishes in the octagon are kind of like a home run or kind of like a 50-yard Hail Mary touchdown pass. And what Gillian does and why I think she's going to be such a huge superstar, and now there's no argument, it's just fact, she has the most finishes, the submission finishes in UFC female history. She wants to stop the fight. She wants the home run. There's nothing like it. You're watching a fight. There's 5 minutes. You're looking at the clock. Stuff's happening, and when you sink in the choke and the tap, even the fighter. I remember 2-3 fights ago, Gillian did it. She kind of did that Forrest Griffin run away from the area with her hands up. There's nothing like finishing in a fight. In middle-class America, like I said, we'll go back to it, on ESPN during a Saturday. Dude, I was literally on a pool deck, and the TV was on outside, and it was on. We were all in watching it, and it was just multiple people are watching it. We're out there with the kids. It's Father's Day weekend and all that. So I just think Gillian is going to bring people to the female flyweight division. She's going to bring eyes to the division. Of course, the hair, the nickname, the story, being on Tough, being with Dean Thomas. She has all these little doom, and when they're going to add up, and I see absolutely goddamn superstar in the Savage.
Yeah, it already should be there. But, I think that people look at her, and, again, she's extremely attractive, and when females are attractive, they get treated differently, viewed differently as mixed martial artists. It's just how it is. And I think that plays into people underestimating her. There's a lot of different factors that play, because what she's doing in there, her top control time, she had 4 minutes in the first round, 4 minutes in the second round, and 2.5 in the third round, and then the finish.
Right.
That is an insane. And coming into this fight, her top control percentage was over 60%, which was top 5 all time in the UFC. God. These things are all happening. She's 25. Again, the ages of these other girls in the flyweight division. It's just she came on to Tough at a week after fighting Cynthia Calvillo on no notice before she was in the UFC.
Right.
And she came on to Tough. She had to fight a 20-fight veteran in Barb Honchak. That is ridiculous. That is a ridiculous test for a, at the time, 21-year-old. But these setbacks created this monster.
Right.
She is a savage. Some people have their nickname, and you're like, how did they get their nickname?
Right.
She is her nickname, and it's just. It was incredible to be 30 seconds left in the fight, choke her out and be smiling as it's ending. She knew it was over.
Yeah.
Like, that is just, it's not trying to be a badass. It is being a badass. And it's just so inspiring to me.
Oh, dude, it's awesome.
The passion. I love passionate people, and she is one of the most passionate people I've seen in the octagon.
It's so good.
Just awesome.
And the last thing we'll go on, Gillian, because I definitely want to hit on Emmett and Burgos, which is great. And I'm a Josh Emmett guy, so I'm super happy there. We'll hit the main event, and if there's anything else, maybe we'll dive into the wrap it up. But last thing on Gillian is, so being, doing media stuff and talking to the fighters, and especially here in Florida where I live and our mainstay is, and being close to, at the time, American Top Team, and probably my wife's best female friend in the fight game is Hannah Goldie. They talk. They FaceTime each other, and it is what it is. I think when Hannah had her fight announcement last time, I think Susie, my wife, was like, Hannah, her manager, Abe Kawa, and it was Susie Van Auken. She was like the third person to know. We had to hold it down for a couple weeks. So my point is, Hannah and Gillian fought on Island Fights, which is dear to my heart. It's I go to all their events. Next one's July 25th. Big Fight Pass later in the fall. Anyway, so they fought. That was her first pro fight, and Hannah barely, they squeaked out the win, right? Hannah won the fight, and like you said, maybe another little setback for Gillian, but great ring, performance by Gillian. Now you know how good Hannah is. Long-winded short, when they got together, right, and now they're training together under Dean Thomas, I was like, wow. I talked to Hannah that day. I'm like, this is perfect, right? Like, that if you put Gillian Robertson and Hannah Goldie together, and I'm not trying to be hyperbolic, they beat Valentina Shevchenko. They beat Wei Li. This is just a perfect match. Hannah's kicks, her power, her stand-up, her left hook, and then you mentioned Gillian's ground game. I really think in this, they've been together for 50 days. Give them 500 and give them Dean Thomas kind of, going back and forth. I really think this is just the beginning. I think 2 years from now, when Gillian's in the number one contender fight or in the championship fight, she's going to be a totally different fighter. This is the beginning of the Savage, and I'm just so excited for her going forward. I'm so excited for Hannah Goldie going forward, and I'm just, like you said too, we were giddy. The whole house, Hannah's there. My wife's super happy. My wife did the artwork for the I'm with Savage. People were sharing it across the board, so she was all pumped on it. Now she's a fan of the Savage, so it's just awesome. I'm telling you, out of the whole night, maybe Emmett, I think, other than Josh Emmett, and it's sad he's probably going to go to Wade because of the knee injury, I think the night belongs to Gillian Robertson. That's where I'm taking it.
Yeah, she is the unsung hero of this card, I think. Because of that Burgos-Emmett fight, I think people are going to kind of forget about a lot of the card. But, I couldn't agree more. I don't feel like I'm just biased here either. And, that her and Goldie is a beautiful combination here. And they really do actually, support each other and care about each other. After the fight, they were sharing a pizza together after the fight. So it's like
a big-ass pizza.
While Dean is back in his room coloring, because Dean's a beautiful soul. So, I mean, it's just, I love when good things happen to good people.
Right.
It's just simple. It's simple as that. And there's so many good people in this sport, too. There's bad things that happen to good people, too, in this sport.
Oh, of course.
But it's just, I mean, last night, I said the line should have been minus 200 for Gillian, and she fought like it should have been minus 500 or more. I mean, it was just...
Yeah, I never felt the fight was compromised. I never felt that Gillian was, I don't like this spot. Not once. Not once.
No. And, I mean, for her, last thing, and we can move on, but she's so quiet, and for her to be, laughing and being like, her fingers are in my glove. In the fight, she just was flowing.
Yes.
And it was just, after the choke, is set in, I'm not trying to bury Courtney here, but after the choke was set in, to see Courtney start yelling at her corner for, advice on, the positioning or whatever, it was just that's what Gillian does. She wrecks homes.
my gosh.
And then just like gives the little pat back and just gets up and like it's just it was a special thing to watch. I got to and then we can really move on, but I got to meet Gillian after her fight in Boston. My friend Manny Bermudez was fighting on the card also. And I got to meet them all after the fights, and I knew after about 10 seconds of talking to Gillian, she was way different than any buddy I had talked to. So That's just her the way that she was responding to the loss. She wasn't pouting about it. She wasn't she was not she was ready to move forward.
Right.
I just don't know how else to put it. I knew right away, and then since then, I've been following her extremely closely, and it's been solidified each day. It's just she's going back to work on Monday, and to have a coach like Dean, who her and Dean are incredible, and then Hannah, it's an incredible team he's slowly assembling there. And a lot of people made a big deal about her leaving ATT, but there are times when a fighter needs to go out and find a camp that's specifically tailored towards them and improving them, maybe.
Right.
And Gillian's doing that at 25 years old.
Dude,
it's huge.
In the podcast game, my man, when you said Gillian Rex Holmes, that's the transition. That's the move. Mm-hmm. We'll keep rolling.
Yes,
man, dude, we're so pumped, and like I said, we're 30 minutes in, and we haven't even hit the main card, but. It's part of the Fight Bananas podcast. Guys, she was the first guest. She was number 100, number 200. She came on to make the fight announcement. I jokingly said it. If Israel Adesanya wants to come on and we're at 299, I'll be like, Izzy, you got to stop. Gillian's on 300. You'll be 301. It is what it is. It is. We're hard here. We're hard. So
100%.
We're going to the main card. We had a couple good fights. Bobby Green and Clay Gui did end up the prelims. To start off the main card was Roberts and Miller. And a lot of people, the betting line was on Roberts. And I talked to a couple people inside, and I heard a couple good things and a couple bad things about Roberts and his performance and how quickly he came back. And I go, I'm starting to agree. I started to really jump on the Jim Miller train midweek, and I put money on it Wednesday, Thursday, and then Saturday. I don't know if you know, at least the site I was on Saturday, 5:30, 6 o'clock, he went up another 30, 40 points. So I put another little hammer on Jim Miller, and he made me very, very happy that night. So I'm just happy for Jim Miller, maybe the most underrated UFC fighter of all time, just all the 35 times in the octagon, all the finishes. He's just one of those guys you just see all the 3-4 times a year on a card, and you think nothing of it really, but you just got to sometimes tip your hat to the vet and say, good job, Jim Miller.
Yeah, I was really impressed here. I was all over Roberts in this one. I will not lie. And when I kept hearing the Miller kind of bring-ups, I said, he has one round, but frankly, I think he could have went further. He just got this finished in the first round with that. I mean, that arm bar was so perfect.
Oh,
and
it was nasty, nasty.
While, the long arms of Roberts are great for the stand-up, and grappling, they're terrible. Those long, skinny arms are terrible for grappling.
Of course.
And I think that, it's just, this was a fight that after it happens, I'm just like, 12 versus 46 fights. Like, what am I doing?
Right.
And I did it with Chase Hooper too a couple weeks ago. So sometimes I learned the lessons. Sometimes it takes a few for me to learn the lessons.
Also, too, my man, is not a lot of people understood that Roberts. The more and more I talk to the people and I hear all these stories. When Roberts defeated Brock Weaver, that Brock Weaver had all the limelight and all the juice. Like, Roberts got a ton of love and a ton of juice and he was on the highest of highs. It's so hard to get back down and then get your ass right back up in 30 days, in 26 days. It wasn't enough time. He needed 5 months. And people are like, really? Yeah. It's not about a physical, where you're at mentally. It's about your mental and where you're at emotionally. I'm telling you, he wasn't there. He wasn't ready. This fight meant more to Jim Miller than it did to Roberts. And it's a mental game. It's 90% mental, 40% physical. There you go. There's the numbers.
Yes,
and it's just,
love it.
I love Jim Miller on that. Really did. We'll keep rolling. I really just want to go to the co-main.
Yep.
Also, too, part of the podcast, I think Josh Emmett's been on 3, maybe 4 times in the last couple of years. And I don't know why. I've always been, magnetic to him. Like, I've always, felt he was, I think I'm going to do a podcast later in the week. I have a good reason why. I kind of will throw it out there. I think he's the most, not underrated, I think he's the most underappreciated UFC fighter going. He just throws hammers. I love his. If I wasn't Khabib Nurmagomedov in there's a lot of me that would like to be Josh Emmett, just to love to throw overhand rights all day long. He just has so much goddamn power, and he just keeps throwing them and throwing them and throwing them. I'm a huge fan of Emmett, and I'm really happy for him. I didn't love his stance, to be honest. After the fight, he was a little bit aggressive towards the media. And, of course, he knows I got his back. And he might be right. There's probably a lot of media that's been, like I said, undervaluing him and overlooking him. But sometimes you got to just be the bigger man and the better person and be like, hey, I told you guys, I got you. I'm coming back for more. I want a top 4 guy now. And just move on. You know what I mean? Other than that, his performance, it was easily the fight of the night, and it could be top 3 fight of the year performance by Josh Emmett and Burgos.
Yeah, it was a fantastic fight. I was on Emmett, so Garrett was with Burgos, and this was again one of these fights where if you break it down all from the brain side, Burgos has this volume and the movement and all these things, and that Emmett doesn't throw enough strikes per minute and all this, but Emmett showed a lot with his heart in this fight because he was walking funny right away. I mean, I don't know what he did to his knee early on, but it's pretty scary looking pretty early on there. And for him to keep up that pace just shows he's not just a physically gifted fighter, but he's got that mental edge in him too.
Right.
And he's at the end of his career here. I mean, he's got 2-3 years left probably. At this weight, he's 35 years old. And so he's extremely focused, and I think he fought more focused, while Shane Burgos fought more unfocused. Shane Burgos isn't 30 yet; he's got a long time left in his career. But I think taking the type of damage Burgos keeps taking, I don't like it moving forward. So I'll say that much.
Right. The Hurricane.
Takes so much shots.
Yeah, man. I love the Hurricane. I love his style. It's great for MMA fans. It's great for people watching on ESPN. But yeah, I'm with you on that, man. It's just the body can't take that. Pretty soon, Chuck Liddell, right? Pretty soon someone's going to hit the chin and he's going to go down pretty quick, and then it's just gone. It's just like, oh, whoa, a jab got him there. It's just going to happen. It's going to happen overnight too. But, it's one of those things we're usually pretty damn positive. I'm just so I'm happy for both men. Both stock rises. I hope,
Great
Emmett,
fight.
it's not a major. I hope it's not a year thing, and maybe it's just a 6 to 8 month thing. And, that might be timing-wise. That might be after Calvin Kattar, or that might be, after Zabit, or, so it might work out pretty damn perfect for him. So I'm hoping it works out, and we'll see Josh Emmett in a big, big, big fight, maybe at the end of the year, if not early 2021. So that's where we're at with that. And we'll wrap it up here. We'll really slide into a heavyweight main event. I was pretty pumped on going into it. I really thought, I love the stylistic of, Blaydes is going to try to wrestle him. Volkov is going to try to box him, stand up with him, and let's see where it's at. But I also love where Curtis has been in the last 2 months, 5 months. His stand-up has just been improving. Being over there in Colorado, the great camp, they kind of really threw a spotlight on that all night long with Gaethje and Reem and Hubbard and all of that. But I thought Blaydes looked great at some spots in the fight, and others I was a little bit like, damn, Curtis, Francis got you twice here, and Stipe doesn't stop in the 4th round at all, and those guys are only in front of him. There's only those fights to kind of get him to the next level, and nothing in that fight made me believe that Curtis Blaydes is going to defeat Stipe Miocic or Francis Ngannou in the near future?
He may just be a bridesmaid for his entire career, where there's always that one or two guys in the division that just he can't beat. And other than that, he's better than almost everybody else. So I think what he did to Volkov, he can do to most heavyweights. He can, like, if he faced like Greg Hardy, for example, or something, or if he faced whoever else is up towards the top at heavyweight right now.
Yeah, Derek Lewis, Olenek.
Derek Lewis, he does that too. Olenek, he would absolutely wear out, I think, even though Olenek's been on fight. But he's not doing this to Stipe. He's not doing this to Francis. He wouldn't do this. I don't think he'd be able to do this to John Jones at heavyweight. So it's just kind of tough because, Blaydes was talking a lot coming into this fight, too, about how he was just going to come in here and ragdoll him and tire him out. And then, when you write that kind of check, you got to cash it, I guess. So, and he didn't so much, but he still did get, 17 takedowns?
Right. Okay, I'm so happy you said that, and I heard that right before we recorded, I listened to Dana White on, he said that he threw that out there. He goes, hey, I wasn't impressed with Curtis. He said a lot of crap, blah, blah. I don't think he cashed it. I'm going to kind of disagree with that. I really thought Curtis Blaydes, at some spots didn't look great, and it looks like he kind of gassed out. That was, to me, what I saw, right? But his performance-wise, Volkov is the 7th, 8th ranked heavyweight. He's no slouch. And, the cards, it was a unanimous decision win. It's a heavyweight spot, 25 minutes. I just feel like, okay, he won and you move on. Like, I don't think, what are is Curtis Blaydes supposed to say, hey, guys, this is going to be a pretty damn good fight. I hope to squeak it out 29-28, and I hope to the judges see it my way. Of course you're going to say that. Fight Bananas is the goddamn best podcast in the world. Joe Rogan can suck it. Like, what am I supposed to say? You know what I mean? Like, I kind of disagree with Dana on that, and I usually don't. Dana's my dude.
Yeah, I think that sometimes Dana does forget about the MMA aspect of mixed martial arts and just wants it to be the stand-up war, like the co-main event. But I do agree with you. The part, I guess, just to clarify, the cash checking part is that he specifically brought up like gassing out Volkov, and you can't really gas yourself out if you're going to point out how you're going to gas someone else out. That was more what I meant. But
right.
His performance-wise, there was no doubt. And I get it. Blaydes has been in the UFC for a long time, so when fighters are in the UFC for a long time, Dana may start to take him for granted a little bit, I think. But if this was some new guy, can you imagine this new guy taking down Volkov with his 81% takedown defense and everything like that all these times? 17 takedowns on anybody is incredible. Right. Look at what Mirab did last week against Gustavo. So, I think that, yes, they're getting up, but you're taking them down.
100%.
So
it wasn't his best performance, and he knocked out JDS, and how about the ground and pound of Reem and all that. So yeah, I get it, but man, at that high level, any main event, a win's a win. I don't think he bashed Cynthia last week. You know what I mean? That
is a whole nother Oprah story that I don't even want to get into on a recorded podcast, but I have my theories, brother. And if you want to talk about them in the DMs, I have no problem with it, but I don't want to put those on tape here.
All right. We'll slide in.
It's the number 2 flyweight, Cynthia Calvillo now. Let's not even get started on this.
Then if people want to slide into the DMs, where are they going to find you, my man?
Yes. So on Twitter, I do run my own dog walking and dog boarding business that's currently been down with COVID, but it is through there that you can reach me, and it's Aaron, the dog guy. All the words are spelled out, AARON. So you can take that as Aaron, the dog guy, as a betting thing, but it's not. It's my business name. But it works on both levels, I guess. But find me on there. Otherwise, Aaron J on Facebook. It's the way I met Garrett. Is that we met in a MMA group. We hit it off right away because we were talking about the whole card, not just the top 2 fights on the card.
Right.
It's like you never know. And Yeah, me and Garrett, we're always going to be here every single fight card. We will go live at 8 o'clock on Wednesday or Thursday at the latest. This week we went Thursday and it worked out because we got to cover the late editions. So, but yeah, we will not miss a card. I can guarantee that. So we'll be back this Wednesday with a really exciting card. But yeah, we're around, and yeah, thank you for having me on, David. It was great to talk with you.
Absolutely, brother. That was awesome, man. We'll flow people inside the distance podcast. I'm telling you guys, I love it. I'm a huge fan of it. It makes people money. I love how they come. It's like you said, it's like Pinky in the brain. You got one brain. You got one guy with all heart. Both very, very smart. Both intelligent. Both they have the history of it. Inside facts on it. You can tell both guys, Aaron and Garrett, they do their homework. If you guys want to make money watching and betting on MMA and combat sports, Inside the Distance, you can download it. They do Thursday night, so I put it Friday morning on all podcast platforms. If you just want to listen to it on your day to work or when you're coming back home before the weekend, make sure you listen to Inside the Distance. GK and Aaron the dog. My main man, Aaron J. Appreciate you, brother. We'll talk soon, all right?
All right, David, you just gave me my nickname, Aaron the dog. I love it.
Hey, that's why I make the big bucks, my man.
All right, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yep. Bye. All right, guys, what a great show. We didn't have a lot of bells and whistles. I'm en route. We're getting some stuff done. We should have a tremendous week in front of us, guys, here at Fight Bananas. And we're going to cap it off at Hooker Poirier. Great main event, co-main event, Gall and Perry. So it's a great show. This weekend, we'll talk a lot about it. But, guys, we're flying off. This was it. Happy Father's Day to everyone out there. Hopefully everyone has a great, great weekend with hopefully a good start of the week. We're going to go bananas all week long. We appreciate you guys. My main man, Aaron the dog, we talk to him very soon. We'll hear him on the Inside the Distance podcast. And I'm Dave Van Auken. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Big ups to our girl, Gillian, the Savage Robertson. All right, guys, make sure you stay bananas.